Hello, Korea, what's going on? This is Bibin Park, and please bear in mind that I kept the AC on because it was way too hot. So, yeah, I was just sweating. So, I hope you don't mind about this a bit of sound noise. So now it's summer. In Korea, when the summer comes, people are likely to look for something like this soup called the samgyetang. So this is a chicken with some zuzubi and some ginseng and all different kinds of like different ingredients. And this is actually pretty good. I like it, especially in summer. And this actually makes a really nice combination because they have a lot of good ingredients, so people can get over the summer with the strength of eating this. I mean, of course, the air conditioner is the biggest part to help people get over the summer. But if you're in there or if you're traveling there, this can be a good try. So the first news I picked was about the elderly people in South Korea. Unfortunately, among OECD countries, Korea is on the pretty high rank for the elderly poverty. And that makes people basically work. So from 65 to 69, about like 55.1% of people are engaged in like basically the work. And among them, about 73.9% of them say they work because they have to, to pay the bill, to sustain their, like a life cost, the living cost. And only the few are working for something like, for the health issue, to sustain a good health because they have to commute and they're like if you move more and use the body and kind of have a little bit of stress, which is also good if it's a proper amount of stress. It can be a good balance. Also, it can be some pocket money, like they can spend more money for the leisure. They can maybe travel more, a bit more, or they can also give the gift to their family and those. That can be also good. And very few people say that they work because of they want to spend some time on it. And the more higher education and the more income they have, they say they work because of like uneconomical reasons. So not just the money, maybe for career or to do the business they own and stuff like that. And they usually do more simple type of job. That age group, at the time, still the education was not much of option because a lot of them are really really bad poverty, so they might have had to just work to sustain the family and those. So in that case, what they can do is just simple job. And not only for that, like the more you have your age, usually it's just difficult to find a more high paying job because more youngsters who are more, like brain function wise or physical functioning wise, they are more active. And they likely to have less health issue and those things. So most of those managers and recruitment will focus more on the youngster side, more younger one, who are from maybe 20 to about 50s or 40s, not like pretty much after the retirement age. That's why they're likely to do more simple work. And they also don't want to really live with the children. So this has changed a lot. In the past, it was kind of norm that children pretty much support their parents. But because now, there's the difference is too big between the generations. So youngsters' values are very, very different from the older people. So in that case, not only the children feel uncomfortable, or the grandchildren, but also the elderly also feel very, very uncomfortable. So they also prefer to live separate. And this is also very in line with like more individualism. So people also want to have their own like lifestyle and those. And elderlies are also very active. They also want to go for some social activities and those. And if they have a children, it's just uncomfortable, and there could be more conflicts. So even my parents' generation, I think my grandparents live separate until they need some like a fiscal aid and those. So in that case, yeah, we live together, but other than that, people still prefer to live separate, and they can just visit each other often, like maybe on the weekends or once a month or some occasion. They can always, get together, especially if they're in the same city or near the town. And this is also changing, that baby boomers are coming into this elderly age, and then the poverty of the elderly is getting lower because the baby boomers are the ones who got pretty good education, and they also have a lot of experiences at the work. So they tend to already collected quite some wealth, and already most of them owns a house, so they don't need to have to worry about those housing or rent. And about almost like 80% of them pretty much owns their own house and they live there, and about 77.8% has some kind of finance, like the stock and all kind of things. So this will change. I mean, of course, still there are many people who are in need of help, and then they should be supported by the government. But I think it's also good that the baby boomers are quite a big portion, and at least they can sustain themselves, and pretty much they can enjoy their life more, like they'll go for the leisure and the social activity, and they also have a good health care and those things. The next news is about the insult. So J is like a punishment or some bad thing. So it's pretty much a sin. So it's an insult law. So there is a person who was making a condemning plea, and that person like putting all over those places in public. So the President Moon like filed a lawsuit. I mean, he withdrew it later, but this made quite an issue and kind of controversy, that this can actually really hurt the freedom of speech, because if one says something different, and if the other side person thinks that it's kind of insult, then they can just file a lawsuit easy. And this is very subjective matter. Of course, if it's clear cursing and very bad words and all sort of things, it can be more simple. But if it's about this criticizing or condemning, it can be actually a freedom of speech and quite a good critic. And the critic is also necessary in many cases, especially if it's more the politics, or some of the like manager issues in the company or in the hierarchical setting. So this has been quite an issue, that in the YouTube or on the news or the replies on the news or whatever things, people start to do a lot of the lawsuit. So a lot of people say that really makes people really hesitate to speak. And especially if the powerful people constantly make those lawsuits, and many people who find it problematic cannot really speak anymore. So that can be trouble, especially in a democratic country. But at the same time, there are a lot of people say that this is needed because a lot of times it can be really hurtful for the individual. I agree with both sides because indeed a lot of replies or those like those hate speech and all those things are too much, and there should be some kind of the buffer to prevent that. The problem is that although there are more cases of the lawsuits and those like hate speech or those condemning and critic, especially those really, really nasty critics, they do not really decrease. So it should be done in some different way, maybe promote more positive words and maybe make a clear guideline. Yeah. So you can also write down what's your opinion about the freedom of speech and this insult law. Alright, that was it for today. I hope the news was interesting and hope you stay healthy and safe.